I feel like I owe you guys some honesty as I am on this journey of content, but also trying to navigate content within the niche of sports betting. Because content within the niche of sports betting is tricky. And I'm going to talk about why I believe it's tricky. I'm going to talk about how it affects me and the line that I feel like I'm trying to walk each and every day. Now, I want to give a shout out to Jeff Nadeau, who posted a clip on his Twitter where he talked about mental health. And, I mentioned it in a comment, and I was not only impressed that he was discussing mental health as a construct, but I was impressed that he was doing it within the niche that he serves. He serves a mafia, mob, crime podcast and sports betting niche, as far as I can tell. If I'm wrong, I apologize, and hopefully someone will correct me. But when you think about those two niches, you don't think about a collection of people, an audience that cares about mental health. In fact, in the gambling space, a lot of times mental health is dismissed, is shot down. And everyone's degree of mental health varies. But specifically, and this is a side note, but it extends to the overall point, think about the plus EV community. Think about people who you would call sharp. They bet math. That's good. They stand to make more money long term. But often they say you have to be able to turn off your emotions. You have to be able to not think about losses. You have to be able to stomach these things. And that has never felt right to me. And I think people are so quick to jump in at that point and be like, well, then you're not sharp. Like, if you don't understand that EV plus EV wagers, like if you can identify something as a sharp book and you're getting good comps, right? If you don't trust that, you're not sharp. And it's not that I don't trust that. It's that I think at times I have overbet, right? And that's something that we also don't talk about in the gambling community. And if we didn't show slips with actual money on them, we wouldn't have to, because no one would know how much anyone is betting. When people see a $2,000 slip, right? Your $2,000 and my $2,000 are not the same amount of money. If I lost $2,000 in a day on the Cavs to beat the Pacers, even if it was a plus EV wager, I would be angry. Right? So everybody's bankroll is different, not only mathematically, but also emotionally. There are certain numbers that even though I know I have X amount of dollars in my bankroll, I don't want to lose X amount of dollars. And if that makes me a square, if that makes me not sharp, then so be it. But I think there is a lack of conversation around mental health within the sports betting community. And I'm not saying that, the personality of someone it takes to be a sharp bettor is someone who doesn't pay attention to their emotions, which maybe to some degree is true. But that is why I was so impressed that Jeff Nadeau posted that. And it got me thinking, do you like Jeff Nadeau? Do you look up to Jeff Nadeau? What makes Jeff Nadeau special? What made you watch that 5-minute conversation? And I was laying in bed last night thinking about this, right? Because I want nothing more than content to succeed for me. I love this. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the happiest I've ever been. It's the most fun, most enjoyment, most energized I've ever felt. I taught high school English for 6 years. It was the most draining, exhausting, frustrating, non-rewarding experience of my life. I was miserable. I was a horrible father. I was a horrible husband because I was so exhausted from doing a job that I hated. And so I'm here and I want this to succeed. I want Green Means Go to succeed. I want to be able to say I'm a content creator and I get paid for it and I love it. And so I was thinking about people who have reached that. Guys like Jeff Nadeau. Why did you sit and watch a 5-minute video about him? Could it be because you were interested in the topic? Sure. But I think part of it has to do with the fact that Jeff Nadeau is a real dude. Now, I don't always agree with what Jeff Nadeau says, right? He's made some comments in the past where I'm like, Nadeau, I don't see eye to eye to that, right? I think our opinions on women are a little different, right? But Jeff Nadeau has lived a life. Jeff Nadeau has experiences. Jeff Nadeau is authentic. And I watched that video not only because it was something I cared about, but because I wanted to hear an authentic dude who's interested in the same things that I'm interested in talk. And it got me thinking, you know what? I spend a lot of time in this content space being someone that I think sharp minds, real sports bettors, want me to be. I try to talk the talk and I try to walk the walk, and I think there are right things to do, wrong things to do. And finding my place in that has been difficult. I want sharps to look at green beans go and be like, that guy knows what he's talking about. All right, I want to be, seen in that way. But then I have to ask myself why. Right? Why do you need to be seen in that light? You don't, as long as you are being authentic to yourself. So, some things that I think are authentic to me. I'm not going to sell picks. I cannot guarantee that I win. And I think a lot of content creators, and this is where the sharp minds, the sharps, the good sports bettors, people who do this for a living, they look at guys who sell picks and they say, if you were actually a winner, you wouldn't have to sell picks. You'd bet like I do. Okay? So I'm not sharp without an odds screen. Okay? We're trying something with home runs, and we've had ebbs and flows. We did really well at the beginning. We took a huge nosedive, and we're climbing back up. We were down 9 units. Now we're down 4 units. Right? I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to be honest in the process, but I'm trying to also say, look, I'm doing a hard thing. I'm trying to handicap baseball. I'm trying to look at matchups. I'm trying to look at prices. I'm trying to not bet teams, not bet numbers. I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to originate. I'm trying to be authentic. And since I cannot guarantee you results, I'm not going to sell it to you. And guess what? I can never guarantee you results on Sportsbook, so I'm never going to sell anything, right? And so I think, it's this weird thing of being caught in the middle of two sides of this niche where I align a lot of my ideologies with sharp minds and how I view the industry, but I want to create content full time. And I struggle with how that process plays out every day. And I'll give you a brief instance or look into why I know that, why I'm struggling. And then we'll wrap this up. So my wife quit her job. She was exhausted and miserable from teaching as well. She was also a teacher. And we have a daughter who we are trying to raise. And that is also a tiring and exhausting thing. If anyone has ever had a kid, it's a lot. They didn't ask to be on this earth. So I am of the belief that it is my responsibility to give them the best life possible. Growing up, I did not have a lot of money. I was not poor, but if I had $1 for every time my parents said paycheck to paycheck, I would have the bankroll the size of some of these guys you see posting their $500 home run parlay slips. We didn't have a lot of money. And so growing up as a kid, I was worried about money. I was stressed about this, that, and the other. For example, in high school, I had to buy my own cross-country shoes. In middle school, I could not, my parents would not buy me a $10 yearbook. I had to buy it myself, right? And at the time, I didn't conceptually understand what was going on. Looking back now, my parents didn't have $10 to throw in a yearbook. Okay? Which is no fault to them. They worked hard, right? My mom, my dad, my mom worked part-time. My dad worked full-time. He was underpaid for his job in the education world. Maybe they didn't manage the money the best, right? But regardless, I did not grow up with a ton of money. So I still have this fear in my mind of having enough. Now, just factually, just based on bankroll alone, okay, and this goes back to the EV conversation, we have enough money to live. Day in and day out, I should not be as stressed and concerned about money as I am. And I know that in the left or right side of my brain, whichever one deals with facts and logic. But the one that deals with the emotion says, enough is not ever enough. You need more money. Our mortgage is paid, our bills are paid, we have expenses, we can invest, like, we're fine. But that emotional part of my brain, sorry, I'm really close to the mic, says, you need to work harder. You need to work harder. Look at all these people posting videos. What are you doing today? Are you keeping up? Are you keeping up? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that until it steps into the boundary of, well, now my wife and child are suffering in a certain capacity. My wife is getting frustrated at my kid for something normal that she's doing, but because she has burnt all her ends, because I've been too distracted looking at phones, looking at Twitter, looking at YouTube, checking in on TikTok. Right? So I haven't been a bad father, right? But I've been focused on the growth of this channel. In part of the reason why is because I feel as though I have been trying to be someone I'm not. I'm trying to get validation from the outside. When you're trying to get validation from everyone else, when you want everybody to like your content, you're exhausted and you overthink and you have analysis paralysis. And, oh, if I say this, if I do this, how's that going to respond, right? Like the other day, Elf called me out for something and he exaggerated the story. And I made a video because I was upset about that, right? Because I'm trying to grow a brand. I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to make this my life. And so when somebody says, hey, that guy's not even sharp, he's in my DMs asking me how to live bet. Well, that didn't happen. I was asking him if the majority of his bets on limited accounts are pre-match or live. I was trying to see if, well, I have all these limited accounts. Maybe he's getting a ton of action down live. Maybe I need to focus more on live betting. Maybe that's how I can sustain this sports betting career. But he didn't want to have a conversation with me. That's fine. He doesn't owe me anything. But he owes me the respect not to say, not to lie about what the conversation was about, right? And so that impacted me. It impacted me enough that I made a 5-minute response and I laid out all the details. I said how it made me feel. I provided screenshots. I told the truth. And somebody in the comments said, nobody's watching that. Well, this guy thinks we care, right? And so what does that do? What do those comments do? They stop me from being authentic the next time. Or they could. The next time I want to defend myself, the next time I want to put out a 13 long minute video about mental health, the state of my life, and how this journey is going, because maybe it will be helpful for someone, or maybe it will be helpful for me. I overthink that. Well, what if Dr. Parlay Bandit, or whatever his name is, I don't want to say the wrong name, then it'd be kind of hypocritical. What if the guy who said that, what's he going to say about this video? No one cares. Well, if nobody cares, they don't have to watch. Right? So I think in some ways pronouncing authenticity is bizarre. But I think the most authentic thing I can say right now is that for a while I have been inauthentic on Twitter mostly. And a little bit on YouTube. Like I've just been a little inauthentic, and I sometimes create what I think people will want me to create. I'll respond in ways people think that kind of thing. Not every time, but there are times. So I want to say thank you to Jeff Nadeau for posting his video. I want to thank you. I want to say thank you to the people who support me and who have appreciated me and who have DM'd me and said, hey man, you're doing X, Y, and Z. I appreciate X, Y, and Z. That's my audience. And that's when I feel most comfortable and most seen and most energized to continue to create. And so I need to focus on those moments. And that's what we're going to do here at the Dream Means Go channel. I love you guys. Enjoy your Friday.